asking businesses a lot of questions about their operations. What are their main challenges? What are issues that they always run into? And all these information will help us, see what areas need help in order to have a healthier and a more resilient private sector. So we carry out this establishment level surveys. The goals, as I was saying, is to describe the business environment in each economy or each country, and they need to be comparable across the world. So we ask the exact same questions across the entire world. The same questions that are asked in Grenada are asked in China, they're asked in Thailand, they are asked in the US. By the way, I can't see you right now, so if you have any questions, please chime in. Just unmute and chime in, okay? Okay. So, like I was saying, across the world, we are always asking the same questions. These questions help us obtain basic financial information that allows measuring the effect of the business environment on selected variables, such as what is their performance? Is this firm able to get credit if they go to a bank? Are they growing? Are they not growing? Are their sales growing? Are their sales not growing? Are they hiring more people? Are they firing people, etc.? It's not the same if we go to a country and we see that most firms are firing people than if we go to a country and see that most firms are hiring. So this is the type of diagnostic that helps us assess the healthiness or the level of resilience of the private sector at any given time. The enterprise surveys have global coverage, and the way this works is we come back to every country every 3 years. So for example, right now we published the enterprise survey recently for many countries, among them Spain. So we did the enterprise survey in Spain, and we will be back in Spain in 3 years to assess, okay, are these things that were a problem last year, in this case last year, so 3 years ago at that time, are they better, are they worse, are they the same? And this 3-year rotation helps us be able to see the evolution of any given issue through time. Since 2006, the enterprise surveys have been carried out in over 155 economies, mainly in developing countries, with more than, now we are at like 250,000, I believe, face-to-face interviews. There's a global methodology, so we do the exact same thing around the whole world. What these types of trainings that you are a part of right now, we do them with every single country every year. There's more than 60, as you can imagine. The world is around 200 countries or territories. We do around 60 to 70 every year. So the global methodology consists of a representative sample of the formal, non-agricultural, non-extractive economy. There is a global questionnaire, and survey results are comparable across economies or countries. What we mean here when we say representative sample of the formal, non-agricultural, non-extractive economy is that what we do, our standard process is we have hopefully, not in all countries we're able to get this, but hopefully, ideally, we get a list of all the businesses that exist in a country. We do a random sample, so we draw randomly from that list, and those are the firms that we interview. That help. In that way, we can say that that sample that we took is representative and will be able to represent the whole economy. We interview formal firms. We don't interview informal firms, so they have to be registered. They are non-agricultural, so we don't interview farms, for example, and non-extractive. We don't interview mines for those countries that have a big mining economy or other type of extractive activity. Again, the global questionnaire, the questions are all the same across the world. And the universe that we have, so all the firms that we're going to be interviewing are either going to be manufacturing or services. So manufacturing firms or services. Services entail many things. And here I'm going to show you the list. So this is the list of activities that you're going to be interviewing, the ones in green. So manufacturing firms, construction firms, wholesale and retail, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service, information and communication, professional, scientific, and technical activities, administrative and support service activities, and other service activities. As you can see, some activities are not highlighted. So for example, financial and insurance activities, you will not be interviewing. So if you get the list of firms that you will interview and you see a bank, or you see, for example, a real estate agency, or you see, for example, in PE education, a school or a hospital, those are firms that we should not be interviewing. This should not happen. So when you get your list, it should be already correctly done, and you should have only the types of firms that we can interview. But if something happened and no one realized, and you get a hospital or a school or a bank or a real estate agency, you can elevate that and say, I believe I should not be interviewing this type of business, and we can double check. Okay. Again, you don't need to know this by heart. This should not happen, but just for you to be aware that you should always be interviewing manufacturing, construction, hotels, restaurants, accountancy firms, or other types of professional technical activities, so on and so forth. Okay. Again, I cannot. Yes.
St. Vincent.
Yes.
All right. Is it possible that you can be given the name of a business that has multiple operations?
Yes.
They are into manufacturing and they're into extracting, etc. Or you will just be staying with a business that does manufacturing and one that produces services?
That is a great question. I can't see you right now, so sorry, because I'm the share screen. But that's a great question. Yes. So we will talk more about this as we go through the questionnaire, but I'm going to answer right now. So that will happen. Like you rightly point out, a business might have multiple activities. So for example, if a business is both a hotel and a restaurant, right? So accommodation and food service. Let's do that one because that's easier. So the hotel and the restaurant. Is it a hotel or is it a restaurant? When we're in the questionnaire, you'll be able to see the points on how we answer that. But we're always going to be looking at what generates the most money, basically. So always sales. What generates the most sales? So if they're a hotel and a restaurant, but the thing that generates the most sales is the hotel, then they're a hotel. So the same thing applies if there are two things here, that one is inside of the areas that we can interview and the other one is outside. So for example, it's both a real estate agency and uh, right?
I think
Then it out.
I lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I think you started cutting out when you were saying that the business was a real estate agency and then it started to cut off.
Sorry, is it cutting off now or is it?
No, you're clear now.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry. So if it's a construction and a real estate agency, if what generates the most sales is the construction, then it's in. But if what generates the most sales is real estate agency, then it's out. Okay. But that is not as easy because that entails you calling or going there and asking that question. But ideally, when you so I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, that's why I'm trying to. But there are two parts to the questionnaire. One is the questionnaire itself, when you're doing all the questions, and there's a part before the questionnaire, which is a screening, in which you will ask the firm, as soon as you contact the firm, either in person or by phone, you will ask them, okay, I need to ask you a few questions to determine if you're eligible for the questionnaire. And one of the questions you will ask is about their main activity. So if in those questions they say that no, our main activity, so the one that generates the most sales is real estate agency, then they're not eligible. Okay.
Thank you.
So very good question. What was your name again?
Kenyon K.
Edion? I don't know if I'm listening correctly.
K. K as in keen.
K.
Kenyon,
K.
K.
Perfect. K. That's correct.
Yeah, K.
K. Perfect. Thank you so much, K.
You're welcome.
Okay. So yeah, again, this should not happen, but it could. And especially in those areas in which we don't know how many sales are generating one or the other. So that only the firm can let us know. I think so. I honestly prefer to be able to see you when I'm talking. So if it's okay with you, I think I'll continue sharing like this. Can everyone see correctly the slides? Yes?
Yes.
Good? Okay.
Yes, thanks.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. So eligibility. Here we go with terms of eligibility. So you will be interviewing firms that are small, meaning 5 to 19 workers, medium, 20 to 99 workers, and large, 100 or more workers. As you can see, if the firm has 1 to 4 workers, so micro, very, very small, we do not interview. So again, if you go, one of the eligibility questions that you will ask at the beginning is how many workers does your firm have? If they say 2, they are not eligible. The system will tell you this. Okay, so the system, you don't have to memorize this. The system will tell you, but just so you are aware that this can happen. Same thing for whether they are formal or not. We only interview formal firms. You will ask them, is your firm registered? If they say no, they are not eligible, so we move on. They have to have 1% or more of private ownership, meaning they are not government owned in 100%. It could be that a firm is 50% government owned and 50% private owned. In that case, it counts. So long as they have at least 1% of private ownership, they are in. But if they are 100% government owned, then we do not interview them. And finally, they have to have an eligible business activity, which we already covered. Okay, so the enterprise surveys around the world. As I previously mentioned, we are doing these surveys around the entire world, and we come back to each country every 3 years. So the plan is to be back in Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 3 years. Here is the division of the 3-year mark. Some countries have moved, but it's very, very rare. Generally, they stay in the year that is in the map. So in 2023, we interviewed the countries that are in the very, very light sky blue. And as you can see, 2023, we will be back doing them in 2026. So these are the countries that we are preparing for next year. And I've already started working and preparing for those countries. Then 2024, we have countries like US, Canada, China, Namibia, so on and so forth. And 2025 are the countries that we are doing now. So we have your countries in the Caribbean. We have Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, India, etc. And you will be doing the exact same survey, the exact same questions. So as you can see, this is a very big project. It is a very big endeavor, and we really, really rely on you to be able to gather this data for us to be able to diagnose, okay, what is happening in the Grenadian private sector, in the St. Vincent private sector, in the Antigua and Barbuda private sector. We can't really know that if we don't have the data. So we are really relying on you to help us figure that out, which I know will not be easy all times. Sometimes it's very frustrating when you go and ask for an interview and sometimes people say no, or they ask, oh, come back again another time. So it can be frustrating at times, but this is a very big project. It will really help because again, if we see that in one of these countries there is a problem with access to credit, for example, then that can lead to projects to, okay, how can we improve this? Or if we see that there is a problem with infrastructure, okay, how can we solve this? If we see that this area is working great, then maybe these resources are not needed here, they are needed somewhere else. So we're really relying on you to be able to collect this data that will be very important for policy. This is our website, which we revamped recently, and I'm very proud of it. So I hope you like it. And all the data that you will be collecting, we will publish in two ways. One is we publish the data aggregate, so indicators. So for example, here you can see biggest obstacle. If we go here for Eswatini 2024, 7.1% of firms chose corruption as the biggest obstacle to their operations. We have 60% of firms where the largest owner is also the top manager. We have 56% score on extent to which non-managers are promoted based on their performance and not something else, so on and so forth. So we publish those indicators, which will appear. Let me jump to a future slide. So this is the Antigua and Barbuda page from the last survey that we did, which the last survey that we did in your three countries was in 2010, because before we did not used to do this every 3 years. It was more sporadic, but now the plan is to do this every 3 years. So this is the 2010 Antigua and Barbuda page. There is a very similar one for Grenada, very similar one for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it has all the topics which entail questions on regulations, taxes, finance, infrastructure, gender, and actually all these indicators are used for example, the United Nations monitoring of the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, how many women are managing businesses around the world? We are one of the main sources of information for this. The enterprise surveys, because we go to the firms and we ask how many women are on your board, how many women are part of the ownership of this business. So we are measuring important things around the world that can help policy. So here we have indicators, all the indicators for Antigua and Barbuda. Here we have the comparison to, for example, the average of Latin America and the Caribbean, and to all economies. And then the other way that we publish the data is we publish each individual interview, anonymized, of course, so that researchers can use that data, the unit data for research. Okay, so now we're going to the questionnaire. Are there any questions thus far?
Yeah, I have one question. The data used on the website, is this public data?
Yes.
Okay. So anyone can go to this website and download it and use it for their own public use.
Yes, 100%. It's all public data. So if you go right now to the website, you can see this. You can
What's
download.
The website?
Yes, the website. Let me send it to you. If you can see my screen.
Okay, I see it.
Yes, I will send it in the chat as well. There we go.
Thank you.
So since we are here now, I might as well, if you press economies data, for example, it would land on a random country. It was Greece this time around. So let me see, for example, Grenada. So Grenada 2010. Again, this is the latest. Takes a little bit to load. Okay, so we have, for example, the number of days to obtain an operating license in Grenada in 2010 were 22 days. If we go to gender, for example, as I was telling you, we have the percent of firms with women operation and ownership in Grenada 2010 was around 57%, which compares to the Latin America average of 48.4. And we have over 15 topics. So you can explore, you can also press add comparator, and you can add different countries. So if you want to compare, for example, that performance with, let's say, Antigua and Barbuda in 2010, you can press confirm, and you will, Antigua and Barbuda will appear here as well. And you can look at different comparisons through different indicators. Then we have about the survey part. So how many interviews, when were they interviews, and how did they divide in terms of manufacturing and services, small, medium, and large. And in the case of your countries, we only have one location, which is the entire country. For bigger countries with larger territories, we have different regions. And then we have research regarding the region. So people can experiment, and they have the data visualization with the graphs, and you can play with the graphs, change the indicators, so on and so forth. Okay, let me go back to this. So I encourage you to explore. Oh, and let me show you actually. If I go here again, and I go to download datasets, here is what I'm telling you, that you can download the actual interview by interview. Anonymized. Again, you have to sign this agreement, which it's a standard agreement. You're welcome to read it. You create an account, and then you have access to the full library of datasets. Okay, let's go back to here. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, so the questionnaire.
That's fine.
Great. So the questionnaire, it contains standardized questions that are asked all over the world to business owners and top managers. This is very important since we are asking questions about the entirety of the business. So we are asking about their workforce, we are asking about their sales, we are asking about innovation. Did they innovate in the last year? We need someone that would be able to answer all these questions. And if it's, a receptionist or a worker that only works in one part of the business, they will not know all these answers. So that's why we need to talk to either an owner of the business or a manager. So someone that really can answer everything, all the different aspects of the business. So when you're going to the survey, make sure that you're talking to the right person. The questionnaires are translated into the local language, which in your case is English. So that's very, very easy for me because I didn't have to translate everything, which is good. Then the enumerators are trained to handle both factual and opinion-based questions. So this is something that we will practice throughout these 2 days. Over 90% of questions are on factual information. So the number of power outages that they had in a year, the collateral requirements that they had to fulfill for a loan. So things that are a specific number, they're not up for interpretation or opinion. But a few questions, which are less than 10%, will be questions on opinions, meaning what do they think about this? What is their main obstacle for their operations, etc. And we will treat them differently. When you're asking those questions, you will treat them differently, and we will go over that as we go through the day. The topics covered, a lot of them, as I was telling you, demographics, characteristics, productivity, environment, etc. There are 15 sections, B to N. It is an hour-long survey. It is a long survey. So it is up to you, and we really rely on you to make it as entertaining as possible in terms of trying to keep the attention of the interviewee, trying to go as fast as you can while still asking all the questions and making sure that you got all the answers in correctly. You answers in correctly. So try to make it as engaging as you can. And you will see that it might be that the interview lasts much less than 60 minutes. It might be that in some cases it'll last a little longer. Why? Because you will see in the questionnaire when you ask, did you have power outages, for example? If they say no, all the questions about how long did the power outages last, when did they happen, all these things, they will not come up. They will not appear because they didn't have any, so we won't ask about that. So this applies to all the questionnaire. So it really depends on the experience of the business, whether the interview will be longer or shorter. But it is important that we capture all this accurately because, again, it's important for then what we will use it for. Okay. We will talk now about the factual or sensitive information that we're talking. So most of the questions will be factual. So what year did this establishment begin operations? How many full-time employees does the establishment have? And all of those will appear like this in black and with maybe a blue, the blue type of question. Avalika will be right with you. Just let me finish the sentence and I'll be right with you. And then the ones that are in orange are the ones that are in opinion based. So this is where we're asking for an opinion. Yes, Valik. I'm sorry, we hear with an echo. I couldn't hear the question.
Oh, hi. Hi, Julia, just wanted to find out, are we filling the information as we go along? Are we taking notes? Operationally, what is the ideal? I am assuming there is a portal where we would log in, and as the interview is taking place, we're filling this in. Is that ideally what we're?
Yes,
Yes?
correct.
Okay.
That's a great question. Sorry, I didn't cover it before. Yes, 100%. So you will have tablets. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jimena, Andrea, Kiwan. You will have tablets where you will be asking the question. You will be reading from the tablet and you will be receiving the answer and you will be entering it as you are doing the interview. Again, Kiwan, Jimena, Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong. Malik. Yes.
Hi, Eugenia. Thank you for the quick follow-up from Julia. Is there an opportunity to edit the information before fully submitting?
Yes, 100%. And we will be practicing that both today and tomorrow. So yes, you can edit, you can add comments, and it will happen that sometimes you're in an interview and the person will tell you the history of their life and they have a lot of caveats and like, yes, but no, but yes. So one, we rely on you to try to get to the answer and ask them, okay, what is the answer? But two, if there are any caveats and you want to enter them in the system, you in every single question you have room to enter comments. So you can always do that. And you can edit. Okay. So Jason.
Okay. So you said that interview may take an hour, sometimes longer. What if you start an interview and let's say halfway through the person has to be called away or for some reason? Can it be paused and you can go back into it, or it has to be completed in a single session?
Yes, 100%. And it will happen that the person is, I have to go. Can we continue this another time? So yes, you can always pause the interview and have it pending. And you can come back to it later and finish it in another session. It depends on how much of the interview is left. If it's a substantial amount, then of course. If it's only a few questions, then potentially those can be answered in a phone call. That's no problem, so long as it's a few questions, not if it's a section or longer, it needs another session. But yes, you can always come back to it in different sessions.
And does that affect you from starting another if you have one on pause?
No, you can start others and that one remain on pause,
Okay, thank you.
of course. And again, today and tomorrow, I will show you all of these things, and we can to make sure that you're comfortable with the system. Okay. Opinion-based questions. These questions that will be in orange, like I said in the previous slide, the ones that are opinions will be in this orange golden color. I don't know how you're seeing it in your screens. To me, it's more gold than orange, but yes. That color, when you see that, that means it's an opinion-based question. And for those ones, we have a very specific protocol, which is very simple, which is do not give any explanation at all. So in all the other questions, if the person is, I'm sorry, what do you mean by this word? What do you mean by this? You can provide explanations, and you will have a button underneath the question that if you press there, it will help you. It will give you explanations. So you can read what is in that button. But in these ones, in the ones that are in orange or gold or that color, you cannot give any explanation. So if the person asks you, I'm sorry, what do you mean by this? You can say, I'm sorry, I can repeat the question, but I have instructions to not clarify anything. Whatever you understand, whatever you interpret is fine. So we will practice this throughout the 2 days as well, because imagine these are very sensitive questions. These are questions of the sort of, do you believe that firms like yours generally have to have informal payments or things like this? I don't remember the exact wording now, but it might be that people will react and ask you, what do you mean? What are you trying to say? Imagine if in every part of the world, every enumerator was trying to explain this, which is already a sensitive question. So we cannot have that, because we would introduce bias. Some enumerators in some countries might say, oh, you know what I mean. Or some enumerators in my countries might be like, I don't know, answer however. So it's very important that you keep a neutral face and that you ask this. And if they want clarification, you can say, I can repeat the question, but in this specific question, I have instruction to not clarify. Whatever you interpret is fine. Just you can answer, and we can move on to another question. And we will practice this throughout the questionnaire. So some questions will be in, for example, how many days? And people might answer in things like, oh, 2 weeks. So for those types of things, you need to enter the answer in days, not in weeks. Because if you write 2, I will understand when the data gets to me, what I will understand is 2 days, not 2 weeks, which as you can see, it's a very big difference. If we're asking how fast is this process, and they say 2 weeks, and what I receive is 2 days, that is a very different answer. So we rely on you to enter the information correctly. So if the question is how many days, make sure that you answer in days. And if you have to make that conversion of how many days are in 2 weeks, there is a document that I don't know if you received already, and otherwise they will send it to you, that has all the conversions. So 1 week is 7 days, because there are all these questions. Sometimes we get the question of, do you mean a 7-day week or a 5-day week, because of like a work week? So you will get this document in which you will see all these conversions. 1 week, is 7 days. 1 day is 24 hours, so on and so forth. If making these conversions right there and then is too tiring, complicated, you maybe don't have a calculator handy, and sometimes making conversions can be tricky, You can write it in a comment and leave that blank so that you remember to fill it out later. And when you get home later in the day, you can go back, do the conversion, and enter it. That's no problem. Okay. Okay. So try to understand the answers. This is a very interesting project, at least to me. And I want to try to convince you that hopefully you feel it is already. But it is a very interesting project because you really get to learn from businesses and what has worked, what has not worked, what is their experience. So it's really a conversation between you and this business owner or manager about their business, and it can be very, very interesting. So try to understand the answers and not be only entering whatever they say, which you should, but try to understand. And if something is not clear, you can ask, with the exception of whether if it's a sensitive question. But in 90% of the questions that are factual, you can ask. So for example, and this will happen, if you are asking, when was the first year you exported? And they say, oh, 2010. But earlier they had told you that the business began in 2015. How can they export before they started the business? It's not possible. The system will tell you this. The system catches a lot of these logic errors, but some it may not catch, and some you might be not clear on how to enter it. So you can ask, I'm sorry, I'm getting an error that the business started in 2015. So I think 2010 correct in terms of when you started exporting? And the person might say, oh, no, sorry, no, we started exporting in 2018. I understood something different. Sorry. So feel free to ask questions and probe, always being very respectful, of course. But yeah, try to look at this as a conversation. And I know a lot of people who have already done surveys, they might already know this, but I'm trying to make it as comprehensive as possible, the presentation for everyone, both the ones that have more and less survey experience. Okay. Respondents tend to focus on special cases or whatever has affected them the most. So, and this can be very funny. So you're in the interview, you're talking to this person. Hopefully it's a very interesting conversation. And you ask them, do you, in a typical month, do you have power outages? And they might say, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to me in the last power outage. I don't know, something happened and it was very funny. The workers started laughing and they tell you a whole story. And it's wonderful, very fun. But in a typical month, do you usually have power outages? Or was that an exception? Oh, no, usually we don't have power outages. That was just a one time that happened. Oh, okay. So then the answer to the question is that no, usually they don't have power outages. But people might focus on specific cases for things that were funny or things that happened. So try to enter the information correctly as to what is being asked. Okay. Repeat the question again if things are not clear, of course. Okay. So before the interview, make sure you understand the questionnaire. So that's why we're going to be doing this 2 days of going through all the questions. If you have questions, please jump in. This is what we're doing this for. This is why I'm here, to answer all your questions. So don't be embarrassed or ashamed. Feel free to ask. The way that this works is I believe you will be doing the screener, determine if the firm is eligible. If the firm is eligible, you can either do the interview right then and there, or you can schedule it and come back another time to do the interview. Be punctual, please, for the interview. Arrive a bit early if possible. Show your interview credentials. Make sure you are talking to the right person, so an owner or a manager of the business. Develop an atmosphere of trust. Be formal. Present yourself well. And again, try to see this as a conversation that, of course, you will be following the questionnaire, but try to understand their answers and have it be an engaging conversation. And we really, again, rely on you for this. So your work is very important. And I know sometimes it might be frustrating, again, when a lot of people refuse their things, but this is very, very important. So thank you for your hard work on this. And we are always open to, again, your questions, your comments, and trying to make this as good as it can, the project as good as it can be. Okay, during the interview. So the goal of the survey is to gather information and opinions about the business environment. The information gathered will help develop policies and programs to support the private sector. So it is in the interest of the person to answer the questions because, again, this is to create programs and policies to help improve the private sector and solve the issues that they say are causing them trouble in terms of operations. All parties, any identifying information will be held in the strictest confidentiality. All parties, World Bank contractor and interviewers, are responsible for keeping confidentiality. This is very important. When you go and interview a firm, anything that they tell you, it's all confidential. Please don't divulge it. Don't tell it to other people. This is all confidential information. And please be careful with when you are doing the interviews and the tablets. Please be careful with the tablets. Things happen. Sometimes tablets, they'll get lost or they are stolen or etc. So try to always have them password protected, so that even if you lose the tablet, something happens, people cannot access to the tablet. Okay, so why should respondents be interested in participating? And this is very important for you to be able to convey to them if they are unsure of participating. It is an international survey. Your business has been randomly chosen, to participate. It is an opportunity for them to voice their concerns, to tell us what is working, what is not working. There will be positive effects for them, for the private sector in their country. We need knowledge to design policies that can help in areas that things are not working as good as they should or as they could. The summary of the results of the survey, once the survey is done, will be sent to them. So they will receive a summary of the results. And the information will be used only for policy advice and for research purposes. Also, I don't know if you got it already, and otherwise you will, a list of projects of the World Bank in your countries, in Grenada, in Antigua and Barbuda, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so that if people ask you what has the World Bank done previously here, you have a list of projects that have been done in your country. You can say, okay, so this has been done, and we need to have knowledge to be able to carry out these projects and have them work as best as possible. So that's the incentive or how to ask people to participate and let them know that what they're doing matters. During the interview, we will go through all of this when we go through the questionnaire. This is important. Read questions as they are written. Do not interpret. So stick to the questions. Try to, of course, make it a conversation, but do go through the questionnaire. Read clearly, listen carefully, be careful with your facial expressions, especially in sensitive questions. Follow the storyline to catch inconsistencies. And when you point out inconsistency, tend to blame yourself for the mistake, because this is a technique that has been proven to help move the interview along in a good way. So if they say something that you know is wrong, so for example, they tell you that their sales were 100,000, but then later they tell you that their sales were 50,000, 100,000. That's an inconsistency. They are either one or the other. So a good way to address this and not offend the person, because if you tell the person, I believe you made a mistake, they might not take it well. So a good technique is to blame yourself, and you can say, I'm sorry. I believe I misheard you earlier. I'm sorry. I must not have entered it correctly. Are your sales 100,000 or are they 100,000? And the person is, it's 100,000. Okay, perfect. Sorry, let me correct that. We can move on. So that's always a good technique to help the interview to have the correct answer and help the interview move along. Okay. There are no questions with multiple answers. All questions are one answer only. So you only ever select one. There are a few, very few, that you will have to write, that they are an open field of text and you will have to write, but they are like, I believe, like 4 or very, very few. Whenever you see something in parentheses, you don't need to read it. That's mainly for you. You can read it if you want, but you don't need to read it. And then you have these things with instructions. So if, for example, you read, what percentage of total sales does this main activity and product represent? And they ask you, what do you mean main activity? For example, in the case that you had the hotel with the restaurant, are you asking me about the hotel or are you asking me about the restaurant? If you press on show instruction, it'll tell you in terms of sales and monetary value, not volume. So you can say, oh, the main activity is in regards to the majority of sales, not in terms of value. So not how many meals you sold or how many rooms you rented in terms of money. What generates the most money for me is the hotel, for example. So then, okay, your main activity then is the hotel. So you can use these buttons to help you if there are any questions. Please enter years and 4 digits. There will be a lot, again, I know this is a lot of information. As we go through the questionnaire, you'll see that this is very easy and you'll know it very, very quickly. But there are a lot of questions that ask about the last fiscal year. So the last fiscal year in terms of taxes basically is when was your last year that you had to submit taxes. In most countries, it usually coincides with the calendar year. So it's January 1st to December 31st. I don't remember now in each one of your countries if it's that way. Maybe you can help me if you know the answer to this. Feel free to chime in. But generally, it's January 1st to December 31st. Some countries are from November to October, and they end in October 31st, for example. So you will ask a lot of things about last fiscal year. If they say don't know what their last fiscal year is, just write the last, the 2024, the last complete year that happened, which was 2024, since we're already in 2025, but we haven't ended 2025. Yes, Valik.
Hi, I wanted to ask if a possible solution, if they don't know the fiscal year, is if they could maybe ask their accountant when was the last time they had to maybe file for taxes or send in their profit and loss statement to Inland Revenue. Maybe if the accountant knows the month of the deadline for that, then is it possible for us to assume that the fiscal year, for example, if they had to hand in their annual profit and loss statement to Inland Revenue for March 2025, can we assume that the fiscal year starts in February 2026 or something to that effect? Like, based on when they have to hand in their payments, yes, or their records, their annual records to the Inland Revenue Department? Is there a way to get around that, or would you prefer for us to just play it safe and say January to December?
Yes. So thank you for the question, Valik. Let me clarify. So, yes, they can ask their accountant. Yes, no problem. Also, if during the interview they want to ask their HR manager, it depends on how big the firm is. You'll be interviewing both tiny businesses that maybe are like a small bakery and a huge hotel. You'll be interviewing all of those. So let's say that you're talking to a huge hotel and they don't know the answer to some things and they want to call in their HR manager. No problem. First of all, that there is one section in the questionnaire that it will tell you, the system will tell you, and you will read this question, which is, I will ask you now questions about your financial statements. Do you want me to continue with you or do you want me to talk to your accountant? And if they say talk to my accountant, then you select that in the system and you will talk to their accountant to answer those questions, which might be in that session. It might be in another session. So yes, we will again talk about that when we're in the questionnaire. But going back to your question. So the last fiscal year, usually it's a set year in the country. So usually it's always the same. So once you know this, it will usually be the same for all firms, unless the firm, for some reason, is in for example, in an international firm and they have the fiscal year of the country from their headquarters. For example, if it's a French firm, they might be in the French tax system, and so they might have the French fiscal year. But generally, would always run into the same exact dates. Usually, again, it's January to December. I don't remember now for your 3 countries which one it is. I can check. And then the team can tell you. But usually it will always be the same. And it might be that the deadline to submit the financial statements, is, for example, March 1st. But the fact that the deadline to submit is March 1st, but the calendar year from January to December. So then in that case, it would be January to December, what we need, even if they need to submit in March or in April or etc. But yeah, usually you will run into the exact same dates all the time. So assuming in this case that it's January to December, which it's the most likely case, then you would enter the last fiscal year that it has ended, so the 2024. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The questions for days refer to calendar days, not weekdays. So we're always talking about 1 week is 7 days, not 5. The time conversion, 1 week is 7 days, 1 month is 4 weeks, 1 month is 30 days, 1 year is 52 weeks, or 365 days. All of this you will have in a sheet that either has already been shared with you or it will be shared with you. So you can make any conversions if they answer in one thing and you need to enter the information in another thing. You never enter decimals, the system will not let you. So you always round down if it's 0.4 or less, and you round up if it's 0.5 or more. There are no negative values in the questionnaire. The sales always refer to money. We never talk about volume or units. We always talk about monetary value. The monetary values are in the local currency. So we always talk about your local currency. And there you cannot enter ranges. So if you ask how much are your sales and the business set and the person says, oh, between 20,000 and 30,000, you need to follow up and ask, okay, can you give me an exact number, or is it closer to 20,000 or closer to 30,000? And if they say it's closer to 30,000, then you can answer 30,000. Okay. Do not take the average. It's better for you to ask, is it closer to this or closer to that? So we get a more accurate answer as to the reality than to just take an average. Okay. When you ask sensitive questions, people might refuse to answer. That's fine. You have a refusal button. You just select it and say that they refused, and you keep going. Okay, for the end of the interview, there's a section for you at the end of the interview for the enumerators. So you finish the interview, you say thank you to the person, you leave, and then you have a section for you, which asks you, do you think that what they answered was truthful? Did they answer in a truthful manner? Were the financials taken from the books, or did they answer off the top of their head? Do you have any comments? In this, please be truthful and honest. The fact that how you answer this will not affect whether we take the interview or not. It will not affect absolutely anything. This is just for us to know when we do research, how much weight we need to put into those interviews. If we put more weight or less weight, and it allows us to do more research on how to improve the questionnaire. So feel free to answer truthfully. It has nothing to do with the interview itself. So if it was truthful, you say it's truthful. If you feel like the person was just answering whatever, you can answer that, and that's fine. Collect business cards if they offer them. And there's a button in the system that it will ask you to record the GPS. Because we need to have the business location. So you will just press the button and it should fill out the GPS. But it happens sometimes that the button tells you the GPS is not working right now. So in those cases, we will talk later about how to deal with that. But please remember to press that button. Okay, thank you very much. So now the next step is to start with the questionnaire and going through all the questions. What we usually do is go one by one, and each one of you reads the question and we answer them all together, and that we can answer any questions that come up from those. So let me know now if you have questions. Great, Valik, and then we'll take a break and then we'll start with the questionnaire. Yes, Valik.
First of all, sorry if it feels like we're asking a lot of questions.
Not at all, not at all. Please do.
Somewhere you can do the interview online. What if the person prefers doing it that way?
Can you repeat, because I can't hear from far away?
Okay.
So did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
The person prefers to do the interview online. Is there an option for that?
Yes, so you can do the interview via video conference, via Teams or Zoom, no problem. Of course, again, confidential information, so only you in the call. Present yourself in a professional manner, and like, don't be in your pajamas, be well dressed, those types of things that I don't think I need to clarify this, but better safe than sorry. So of course, very professional manner. So yes, that's no problem. However, the interview does need to take place either in person or in a Zoom call, for example. It cannot be by telephone. You can only, if you did the interview and there are some pending questions, you can complete them by telephone. If the person says, I need to go, there's only 5 questions left, yes, those can be filled by telephone, sorry. But if you have a section or more that needs to be completed, then it needs to either be in person or via video conference.
Julie's asking, how do you record the GPS if it's online?
Great question. Very good questions. I love when people ask me good questions, so please keep it up. So the GPS, great, yes, indeed. That will be your house or wherever you're doing the interview, which is not what we're interested in. So in that case, there will be there's a part at the end that will ask you, was the GPS collected in the business or somewhere else? So still, you can then in that question you can say no, it was not collected in the business. So you don't need to do anything else with that. Once it gets to the supervisors will enter the GPS for you. They will either use Google Maps or some type of service like that, and they will enter the GPS for you. So that's no problem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. St. Vincent team.
Yes, I have a question.
Mhm.
You did say if you have a question that you have to move on from,
Yes.
because you didn't get the answer. When you get to the end of it, would there be an indication, maybe it turned to a different color, or there is some indication that you have missed the question so that the questionnaire is not completed?
Yes, Kay. Yes, great question. So, thankfully, the system is pretty smart in that, and it keeps good track of things that are pending. So every time you get to the end of a section, there should be a sign in red if anything is missing, telling you something is missing, please review. However, you will always be able to keep moving. Why? Because it might be that the person doesn't know and they tell you, okay, can I send you, can you call me later and I give you this answer because I don't remember now and I need to ask someone who is on leave now and I can't ask now. We don't want you to not be able to keep doing the interview because as you know, getting an hour of someone's time can be tricky. So we want you to be able to get as much information as possible. So you will always be able to keep going and go backwards and do all these things. But yes, there will be a flag in red that will tell you that something is missing in this section. And in the section itself, it will be painted blue, which when we get to the system, I'll show you. There are three colors, green, blue, and red. When there's blue, it means that something is missing.
Good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions thus far before we take a break? Okay, great. So let's take a break now of 15 minutes and we should be back at 11 if that works. And we'll start with the questionnaire itself. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. See you in 15 minutes. Hello. Coming back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
We
can.
can hear you.
Great.
We can.
Wonderful. Let me know if I start to break off, because sometimes the headphones that happens.
Okay.
I don't know if St. Vincent team, are you back? The Granada team. Let's wait a few minutes until they're back.
We are back, but we're having a problem with the video.
Okay, can you solve it, or should we wait?
Can you
Also,
try logging out and log back in?
yeah, maybe if St. Vincent team, maybe if you log back in. Um, I also don't see the Granada team. I think they were connected through Anna's login. Jason Kewen, can you contact them to ask them if they?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. Also, let me know if I'm pronouncing everything correctly for everyone. Let me know if I'm pronouncing your names correctly.
You're good so far.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's wait for a few minutes and then we'll start. Malik, yes.
Yeah, Grenada team is going to just exit and get back in.
Okay.
I think they had initially conflicting devices, so both of them were trying to use the audio
Sorry
and
about
some.
Just wanted, while we're waiting, the opportunity to ask the link that you had shared in the chat. It
Mhm.
goes straight to the enterprise surveys.
Yes.
Do you see the survey changing in terms of its format anytime soon, or has it evolved to the point where the World Bank is sufficiently confident in the format, etc., our ability to glean accurate information from it based on the model you currently have?
So every year we have a technical retreat, basically to a questionnaire retreat, which is a few days in which we go through every single question of the questionnaire, and we look at response rates and see if they were clear, not clear, if there's anything that we need to change. So yes, every year we do kind of refine the questionnaire. However, generally the questions stay the same. It has to be there has to be a lot of evidence towards a question not working, or that it could be made clear for us to change it, because we try to keep it as much as possible the same way, so that then when we come back every 3 years, we can ask the same questions and see exactly the same question, how the response has changed. But of course, if the question is really not working, then yes, we try to refine it. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
St. Vincent team is also restarting their laptop as well.
Great. I see the I see the Granada team. Great.
The devices went on break as well, apparently.
Okay, we'll wait for the St. Vincent team, and then we'll get started with the system and the questionnaire. How is the weather over there in both Antigua and in Grenada?
Ramona, you wanna?
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
they
not
have
the
a-
only person at the meeting, Ma. You wanna?
it's hot, partially cloudy, but hot. It's hotter than usual this year, but I feel like every year we keep saying it's getting hot.
That's not that bad. It this week it's raining in DC every day, all day, all the time. And it's getting tiresome.
And Grenada?
How's the weather in
The
Grenada?
weather is fine over here, actually.
Nice. Q1, where are you based?
I'm based in St. Lucia.
How
Currently,
is everything there?
blue skies, green trees, decent weather.
That
It's
sounds
nice.
lovely. Mhm.
Sounds like paradise. It is.
Vacation weather, yes.
Indeed.
As you know, I'm from Uruguay, and I plan to go to Uruguay in a little bit. And it's the middle of winter there, so it's gonna be freezing cold.
Oh,
Boy.
that's right. South America.
Mhm.
America. So that means what degrees are we looking at? Do you enjoy snow in Uruguay?
No, we don't have the snow, but we have a lot of cold and a lot of humidity. So I mean, you also must have a lot of humidity. But yeah, 95% humidity with the cold, it's not great.
At least you get to see your family.
Yes, exactly.
That's important.
Exactly, yes. But it's better to go in summer, in January. Okay. Do we have any news on the St. Vincent team?
I think they're still finishing up the process of their reboot, so they're on the tail end of it.
Okay. We'll wait for maybe 11:15 and we'll start 11:15.
Okay.
By the way, I checked on the fiscal years, and I believe for all three countries, the fiscal year is January 1st to December 31st. So thankfully, it's the same as the calendar year, which makes it easier. So that's what you usually should run into. So the last fiscal year would be 2024.
Hey, Jason, what do you think of the information you've soaked in so far? I know that's kind of your bag.
It's very cool because I'm studying data analytics, so it's very cool to find out about the process of research and also even the treasure of having that public data set, because I'm always looking for data, either for my own edification or sometimes just for projects that I'd like to do. And the entire process is very interesting, and I had no idea it was so meticulous and so structured. I always wondered where they got the data from, so that's good to know where it's coming from. At least I have a better understanding. So when I access those data sets in the future, then I'll know, okay, I know this, they did this, that, and that. So it's very interesting. Also, it's very hot today. I had to do a shirt change.
Where are you based?
Rosalie St. Lucia. Yeah. And as K1 says, it's very a bright, sunny day. When I look outside, I see the green mountains and the blue skies.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the kind of weather that makes you want to sit by your pool. Yeah.
Well,
Or
thank you
go to
for
the
being
beach.
in the training. Unfortunately, not today, but but
Yeah,
in
yeah.
other days, hopefully the weather is pretty nice. Usually,
Yeah.
that's would be nice.
Okay.
I nearly feel tempted to show you guys my view, but I'll just keep it.
Yeah, I was about to, but I said no. Some people are in the snowy weather. I don't want them. I don't want them to get jealous.
And in terms of the
Rainy
data
weather,
sets,
sorry.
sorry?
No, never mind. Yeah.
Oh, no, that in terms of the data sets, yes, it's a huge wealth of data sets, so many, and it's over 250,000 observations. So yes, it's really something. And they've been used in over 1,500 research papers that we know of. They're used for policy making. They're used for many things. So I really want to stress that this is an important project and that we really rely on you to be able to carry this out. So yeah, what you're doing matters, and the data collection for this process
Yeah,
really
that's
matters.
Yeah. I also had a follow-up question about when you mentioned GPS, the supervisors would be entering that information. So would that be based on the interviewer? Let's say the interviewer goes to, because there are a lot of places in the Caribbean islands where I would say it's difficult to map. Everybody would know it locally, but when you look on a map, it's kind of difficult. So how would the supervisor be verifying the GPS if someone, let's say, doesn't put a GPS location?
Yeah. So that we will have to have a supervisor section, a supervisor session, to go through that and how to do that, which is very simple. But yeah, I think since I don't want to for people in terms of if they're enumerators and won't be doing that to show that, but we can have a supervisor session where we go through all of that so that it is clear.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay, it's 11:16, so if it's okay, we'll go ahead. Kiwan, I don't know if you have any news from the St. Vincent team.
No update as yet, so I'm just gonna call them up again.
Okay,
But
yes,
you
please.
guys can carry.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm right now in the Antigua and Barbuda workspace, but there was one for Granada, which is the exact same, and one for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is the exact same as well. So you will see the exact same thing, except that instead of saying Antigua Barbuda here, it will say the name of your country. So you will have a tablet and you will have an account with which you will access the system. The system is called Survey Solutions. It is a World Bank system, so it is created, run by us. And St. Vincent team, there. Let's see if they can.
Okay, looks like they're back.
Yes. Hello, St. Vincent team. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, St. Vincent team?
Yes, we
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Nice to see you again. Perfect. Okay, so we were just getting started. So I'll repeat. This is the system. I was saying that I'm gonna be using the Antigua and Barbuda workspace, but there's an exact same workspace for Grenada and an exact same workspace for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The only difference is the name here. So this system is called Survey Solutions. It is a system created and run by the World Bank, so we are the ones that are operating and designing the system. It is a good system. It's very useful. It allows us to do a lot of things. It has some restrictions, of course, that you will run into. So we will go over those as well. First of all, you will have a tablet. In the tablet, you will see it in tablet form, but it's the same. You should be seeing the same thing. You can access it via the tablet. You can access it via the computer. So there are 4 tabs up top. They are the Create New tab, Started tab, Rejected, and Completed. The way the system works is there are 3 types of accounts: the enumerator accounts, the supervisor accounts, and the headquarters account. All of you who will be enumerators will have enumerator accounts. These are the accounts where you will have your assignments, you will go, you will do the screening, the interview, you will send. Once you send, that interview will automatically, once you send it, will go to your supervisor. The supervisor who has a supervisor account will be able to open it, review it, flag things that are incomplete or that have a problem, and they can either accept it and submit it, in which case it goes to the headquarters account, or reject it. It's not a very good word because rejected means can make you seem like it's like not accepted and it will never be accepted. It's an unfortunate choice of word of the system. But basically, when it's rejected, what that means is that there is a problem with the interview and it goes back to the enumerator to solve that problem. It can either be a problem of you forgot to press this button and you just need to press that button and submit again. Or it could be that maybe you forgot to ask some questions, in which case you might need to contact the firm again to ask those questions. So you submit, that goes to a supervisor. Supervisor can either return it to you or to another enumerator, or they can check, verify that everything's fine, and it keeps moving to the headquarters account. Headquarters will check again that everything is fine. They can return it to a supervisor, they can return it to the enumerator, or you can keep going. If it keeps going, it gets to me. So this is not, that's why I like to do these trainings, because sometimes it's like, oh, it goes to the World Bank and you don't know who that is. It's like an entity. But the data will be arriving to me. So you know me at this point. So I'm the person that will be reviewing the data. Be mindful that when you enter that data, it will get to me. And so again, those types of things that I told you before of if they answer 2 weeks and you entered 2 days, when it gets to me, what I will read, because I was not there. You were the ones that were there. I was not there. So what I read is 2 days, which is a very different answer. So bear those things in mind that I need to be able to understand what happened in that interview and what the answer is, because I was not there. So you are our first line of defense in terms of being good collectors of data. So that's why we do these trainings and we take the time to answer any and all questions that you may have so that you feel confident when you go to the field. Okay. So in the Create New tab, you will have all the assignments that are new that you haven't started. So you were assigned, in this case, I'm an enumerator now. I'm playing that role. I have assigned one interview, which is this one. If I had two, another one would be popping up here. Beneath, if I had three, there will be three here, so on and so forth. Ideally, you will not have many assigned because that can be daunting. So you will have some, you will have to complete them, and then you will get assigned more. They will be in the Create New. So long as they are new, you haven't opened them yet, you haven't started them yet. If you go to the Started tab, here you would have a list of all the interviews that you have started, but you haven't yet completed. So, Kate, to answer your earlier question, if you go to an interview and the person says, okay, I need to go, I'm sorry, can we finish this another time? Yes, of course, you schedule that time, you leave. You do not submit that interview. You leave it here. It will live in the Started tab. And when you need to go back and to do that second session, you go to this tab, you press on it, and you continue where you left off. We will see it with an interview later popping here. In the Rejected tab, you will have the interviews that you have already submitted. They went to the supervisor, and the supervisor, for some reason, says, no, there's something wrong, there's something that you need to review, and they send them back to you. They will appear here. And they will, when you open them, they will tell you what the supervisor said that you need to review. And when you do, you submit again, and it leaves this tab. In the Completed tab, you will see the interviews that you have submitted and that that went to the supervisor for the supervisor to review. If the supervisor clears it, it goes to headquarters. It never comes back to you. One clarifying thing here. If you look at the system in the computer, it will show you the list of completed interviews you have done. If you are in a tablet, for some reason I don't fully understand, but it is like that. When you press when you complete it, it will leave the tablet. So it will not be listed here. It will just leave your tablet. Okay. Okay. Another important thing. When you have the tablet, it is very important that you do something that is called synchronizing, which is you will have in the top right corner, so here in this space, a little cloud icon. You need to press that little cloud, having Wi-Fi connection or internet connection, at least twice a day, in the morning and at night. Why? Because this system can operate without internet connection, as you would expect, because you go to a place, you're doing the interview, you might not have internet connection, you don't have to sign into their Wi-Fi, so you can do the interview without internet connection. But at the end of the day, we need you to upload everything that happened that day to the cloud. Because otherwise it lives in your tablet, but we don't get to see it. We don't get to track it. We don't receive it. It just lives in your tablet, which is a problem. For example, if you lose the tablet, if your tablet gets stolen, if blah, blah, if you didn't send that to the cloud, we lost that interview. Since we don't want that to happen, it is very, very important that every morning and every night, at minimum, you can press the cloud 500 times a day if you want. That's not a problem. You can press however many times you want and upload to the cloud however many times you want. But at minimum, twice a day. So when you press that cloud button, you are uploading everything that is in your tablet to the cloud, and you are downloading everything that is in the cloud to your tablet. So if during the day, in the morning, you synchronized, you pressed the cloud, and you didn't get any new assignments, they haven't assigned you anything new yet. But at night, you press the cloud again, you might have new assignments that they gave you. Why? Because you're connecting the cloud to your tablet. So then you are uploading everything from tablet and you are downloading everything from the cloud. Okay. For that, you do need internet connection. But during the day, when you're doing the interviews, you don't need internet connection. You just need to synchronize at the end of the day when you get home, for example, and you have internet, so that everything goes to the cloud and you download things from the cloud. Is this clear? Great. I want to make it clear because a lot of people forget to press the button. So you might get a lot of calls or messages of like, please press the button. So please remember to press the button. Great, thank you. So when you synchronize, like I said, if you're in the tablet and you complete an interview, the interview will appear in the completed tab so long as you haven't synchronized yet, because it's saved in your tablet. But when you synchronize, it goes to the cloud and it leaves your tablet. Whereas the ones that are new, they are ongoing, or they have been rejected, so they come back to you. All those ones are in your tablet until you submit them. Yes. Who has a question? Julie. You are muted, Julie. If you can unmute. Maybe could someone help you? There we go. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Yes.
Okay, my question is, can you use multiple devices or only one?
Great question. So you should always be logged into the account with only one device, because otherwise the system has problems. So if you're logged in with your tablet, continue with your tablet. If you, for example, have to do an interview in video conference and you want to do it with the computer and you do it with the computer, then in that case, sign out in your tablet and sign in your computer. And then if you need to go back to the tablet, sign out in your computer and sign in your tablet. That's a great question. Thank you because I might have forgotten to say that. Yes.
Thank you.
There's another question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Will the supervisor be assigning specific companies to each of us?
Yes, it will either be the supervisor that will assign them to you or the headquarters that will assign them to you. But yes, you will will receive the firms that you need to interview in the create new tab here. You might also get a route. So that is for Andrea and Jimena and Kiwan to organize. But yes, in terms of the system, they will appear here in the create new tab once you synchronize.
Will we be notified by a notification or when we synchronize when it's rejected?
That's a very good point, and at least that I know of, No, you don't get a notification, but that's a great point. I will take note. Why don't we have notifications for that? I don't know. We should. Let me write that. But no, I think you don't. At least many times I've used it, I haven't. So you would need to synchronize every morning and check if you have anything. So you just go through these tabs and see if there are new things, essentially.
And are they assigned, the new set of companies will be assigned after the previous ones have been completed and there are no rejections?
I am not sure exactly. That's for Andrea, Jimena, and Kewan to discuss. I don't know if they want to jump in or if that's something to determine this week.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think we're going to determine later today.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So you should know soon. Okay. Is there another question or should I continue? Great. Okay. Okay, so here in this case, I only assigned myself one interview because that's the one that we're going to be doing. But again, if I had more, they would appear here. So I'm now an enumerator and I'm going to play that role. Here in the identifying questions, I have that I'm going to be interviewing a firm in the city of City 1. As you can see, I made a very generic example. City 1, the address of the business is Street 1. The name of the business, the name of the respondent is John Smith. The phone of the establishment is 12345 blah blah blah, and the business name is Bakery ABC. So we're going to be interviewing a bakery that has this ID and this ID. So I press on it and it says start new interview. I press on start new interview. It loads. The first thing you will see is a cover, which basically lists that information from the firm. You don't have to do anything here. This is just the identification information. And to the left, you have the menu of the different sections, and you can change from one to the next. This is how you go forward in the interview, how you go backward. You can move around. As you can see, some things are in green, some things are in blue. There are three main colors of the system: green, blue, and red. The green means everything is complete. So you answered everything. You might have answered correctly, incorrectly, the system doesn't know, but you answered something. The blue means that something is missing. So at least one question has an empty field, which should not be empty. And the red means that you entered something that the system knows is incorrect. And I'm going to make a differentiation here. So there are two types of flags. One is red and one is orange. The red will pop up here. This will turn red, and I will show you in a few minutes, telling you this is impossible. For example, you started exporting in 2015, but your business started in 2020. You can't export before your business starts. That's not possible. So the system realizes this, turns red, and says, this is not possible, something's wrong. That is what we call a hard check. It's hard because it's impossible. And then in orange, you will have some flags, which are, we call them soft checks, which mean things that are not necessarily wrong. They might be correct, but they are strange. For example, you paid more for electricity, or you paid 5 times electricity than the money you made, the business, right? Is it possible that the business paid 5 times the cost of electricity than the sales that they made? Yes, it is possible. It can happen. However, why would the business be operating if they are not making money? They are losing money only from paying such high electricity bills. It might be that that year something strange happened, that they had this huge electricity cost, and that's why. So there might be a reason, but it's strange. So those will be orange flags that they will appear when these weird things happen, and they will tell you, please confirm that you entered the information correctly. And it might be that you entered in something incorrectly. It might be that the person told you things incorrectly. And so you ask, sorry, the system is telling me that I need to verify this. Could you please confirm? If the person says, oh, sorry, no, I meant this other thing, you correct it, move on. The flag, the soft check, the orange flag will go away. If they say, yes, that happened, that is true, you will enter a comment saying, I verified. This is correct, verified. And I will show you all this. So this is to say, this is green because this is complete. You don't have to enter anything. So whenever you get to the end of a section, you have a button with the name of the following section. So here it says information filled out before the interview, which is the name of the following section. You press. This section is complete. There's nothing to complete. It's just there. And you go to the screener. The screener is these things that you will ask the firm at the beginning to determine whether they are eligible for the interview. We will discuss this tomorrow morning, I believe. This is in tomorrow morning session, so I will not go into it now. But this is, sorry, this is the things that you will ask to determine eligibility. Let's assume that you asked this, you talked to the owner, me, who I'm the owner of Bakery ABC, and it's eligible. So then you'll go to section A. And this is where the interview starts. The way that I usually do this is we go one by one reading the questions, because if it's just me reading the questions, this will turn very boring. I'll ask each of you in order to read the question, and I will answer as the owner of Bakery ABC. And that way we can, of course, if there are any questions, we stop and we address them, and then we continue. So the first is the GPS button. So you just press the button and you enter the coordinates. See that the system did it automatically. The system, you press the button, automatically it entered them. If this turns into a red button, it can turn red and say GPS button is not working right now. This will turn red. So this whole thing will turn red. This thing that's blue up top will turn red. Everything will turn red. You ignore it and you continue. And then you try again. If it's solved, great. If it's not solved, you submit the interview anyway. And the supervisor will know that they have to enter the GPS coordinates. Okay. So it asks, were the GPS coordinates collected on the site of the establishment? So this is what I don't remember who was asking about if they're doing like a video conference and do they need to press the button? You can directly enter the answer here. So were they collected on the site? Yes, great. If you say no, the supervisor will know to enter the GPS coordinates later. Okay. So in this case, let's say I am in Bakery ABC. Yes. Time the interview begins, you press the button. It collects the time of the tablet. So make sure that the tablet has the correct date and time. And here you start reading. Everything that's in blue are directions for you. What you read is in black. So I will start, which is the goal of the survey is to gather information and opinions about the business environment. The information gathered here will help to develop new policies and programs that enhance employment and economic growth. The information and opinions you provide will be anonymized. Neither your name nor the name of your business will be used in any document based on the survey. On which calendar date did the last completed fiscal year end for this establishment? Which is the fiscal year question. And this is an important question because if you don't put anything here, throughout the questionnaire, there's a lot of questions that are in this year, what happened? Or in this year, blah, 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 blah. So if you don't complete it here, it will appear incomplete in all the questions later. And everything will be red, it will be a mess. So make sure you answer this. Usually for all your 3 countries, from what I just checked in the break, it generally should be January to December. So generally it will be 2024. So Here it appears December 2023. You go to December 2024, 31st December. Perfect. And here you'll see this turned green, this turned green, because everything is complete. And so I will press the button for the next section. And now, if it's okay with you, I will ask each one of you to read the question, and I'll answer. So we can start. Jason, perhaps you can start reading B1.
B1. What is this firm's current legal status?
Great.
Okay.
Great point. You don't need to read the answers in general. So you ask the question, and you will see that here it says show card 1. So you will have cards. If you don't have them already, you will have them. There will be, I think, around 30 cards, which you need to bring with you. They're pages, and they have the list of answers. So what card 1 will have is this exact thing, without the ones that say spontaneous. So without the other and without the don't know. We don't want to give the option to the respondents of the don't know. Why? Because that allows them to say don't know to every single answer. You always have that option in case they spontaneously, hence why it says spontaneous, spontaneously say, oh, I don't know, I really don't know. Then you have that option and you can move on. But we don't want to give them the option to always say don't know. So we don't include that in the card, but you have it there for you. So you show card number 1, and there are 2 ways that enumerators generally do this. They either have the cards themselves, and they show the card when the question comes up, and then they take it back, and then they put card 2, and when that question comes up, they show it. Or some enumerators directly give the card thing to the interviewee. Sorry. They directly give the cards to the interviewee, and they say, please go to card 1. The person goes to card 1, then please go to card 2, and that way. That's up to you. So in terms of this question, I'm now the owner of Bakery ABC. I will say that Bakery ABC is a sole proprietorship. So that's what I will select. Okay. Valik, could you read B3A?
Right. So is the owner also the top manager?
Yes, I'm the owner and I'm also the top manager. Okay. V2, maybe in Antigua, could we go one by one asking the questions?
B3,
B2.
B3, private foreign individuals, companies, or organizations, and then percent.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
You want
So
B2.
here,
Oh,
you, B2.
Right.
Yes, go ahead with this.
What percentage of this firm is owned by each of the following? And then
Show
there's
card 2.
private domestic individuals, companies, or organizations. And then B2B, private foreign individuals, companies, or organizations. B2C, government or states. And then B2D, other.
Yes. So a couple of things. So here you will have, I'm here, echo, okay. So here you will have the card. So the card will list exactly this. So in that case, you don't need to read it. I think you don't have the cards right now, correct? No, okay. So then that's why. But when you have the cards, you'll see that this is the exact same thing. So you just need to read what percentage of this firm is owned by each of the following. Can you please go to card 2? The person will go to card 2, and they will answer. For example, oh, we're 50% private domestic, and 50% private foreign. And then you just enter the numbers. A couple clarifications on this question. Private domestic individuals, companies, or organizations. What this means is domestic, meaning Grenadian, Saint Vincent. Please tell me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. Antigua and Barbuda. So if it's someone from these countries, if it's a company from these countries that owns this other company, so if it's domestic, then this is foreign. So foreign, any of these, then government or state or other. In this case, for Bakery ABC, I said it's 50% me, who I'm Uruguayan, so I'm foreign, and 50% my business partner, who is from Antigua and Barbuda. So 50% domestic, 50% foreign. I will put 50 here, 50, 50, and then you need to complete the other two as well, because otherwise it will tell you that something is missing when you get to the end of the section. So you put 0 here and 0 here. And something popped up, something red, very red. You can't not see it. So this is red, this is red. If we go up to the top, this is red. So red all around. And it says, if B1 is sole proprietorship, then one of the B2 variables should be 100 and the other 0. So 4, I said that my firm is a sole proprietorship. If it's a sole proprietorship, that means there's only one owner. There can't be 2 owners. So this is incorrect. Either it's not a sole proprietorship or there are not 2 owners. So this is when, if this happens, you say to the person, I'm sorry. The system is telling me that I need to verify this. So just to make sure I understood correctly, you said that the firm is a sole proprietorship, but there are 2 owners, one 50%, the other 50%. And I'm now the owner. I say, oh no, sorry. Ownership wise, I'm the sole owner. I own 100%. But honestly, the person that runs it is my business partner. That's why I consider her an owner, but technically it's just me. So then it would be 100% foreign. So we press the cross, we enter 0 here, and we press the cross, and we enter 100% here, and then the error goes away. Okay? Let me know if there are any questions. So that was what we call the hard check, meaning it's impossible. And then we will see the cases where it's things that can happen but are strange. If you press show instruction, you will see, okay, what does domestic mean? They are national or establishments of Antigua and Barbuda. Dual nationalities are considered domestic. So if someone is both from Antigua and Barbuda and from another country, then they are considered domestic. Here you have the definition of foreign, of government and state as well. Yes. Okay. Let's keep going. So let's go back to the room in Antigua. Could the next person read B4? Hello.
Okay, so I'll take a go at it.
Okay.
How many how many full-time workers did this establishment have
I
when
think, sorry,
it started?
Dave, sorry,
Yes?
it's B4. If you could read B4.
Before, sorry. Okay, go up, up, up. All right. Is the owner of this firm female?
Is the owner of the firm female?
Female,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, perfect. Here, as you know, I already told you that, could you mute? Okay. As you know, I already told you I'm the owner. And so some people might laugh and say like, well, I already told you I'm the owner. But so in these types of questions, because this will happen as you go along, you can say, I mean, you already told me you're the owner, so I can say yes. But always read them. Always read them out. Never assume. So always read them and let the person answer, but you can play with it in terms of the conversation. Like, again, you can say, they make me read all these. So is the owner of the firm female? Yes. Okay, B5.
Okay, in what year did this establishment begin operations?
Perfect. So Bakery ABC started operations in 2010. I'm gonna write the full year. Okay, next.
How many full-time workers did this establishment have when it started operations? Please include all workers and managers.
Full-time workers, there were 5 of us. 5. Okay, next.
In what year was this establishment formally registered?
The bakery was registered in 2011. And I'm gonna stop here for a second. So it is important that you notice the difference between when did the firm or the establishment begin operations and when did it register. It might be that the firm began earlier and they registered later. They were informal for a few years. That can happen. It might be that they registered before they started operations because they set everything up and then they started operations later. So these years need not be the same. They might be the same, they might not. Okay, B7. Is there in the room in Antigua, is there anyone that can read?
Yeah, that's everyone.
Okay. Then St. Vincent, can we go with you?
With B7,
Yes, B7.
is the top manager female?
Sorry, B7, not B7A, B7.
Sorry?
B7, how many years?
Oh, I wasn't saying that yet. Okay, I'm saying it now. Okay, fine. How many years of experience working in this exercise does a top manager have?
Yes. So years of experience in the sector. I've been working in the bakery sector for over 10 years. So I'll put 10. Okay, B7A.
Is the top manager female?
Yes. B8.
The establishment have an internationally recognized qualified certification.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop here for a second. The internationally recognized quality certification. This is always a very, I consider it a funny question. It's a very good question, but it leads to sometimes funny responses. So internationally recognized quality certification. These are things that are, for example, some of these are ISO 9000 or ISO 14000 or HACCP. You don't need to know these. You don't need to remember these. They are there for a reason. If you press show instruction, you have even more options, even more examples. So very likely the person will tell you what they consider is their internationally recognized quality certification. You will write it. However, sometimes these will not necessarily be internationally recognized quality certifications, in which case it might be that the supervisor returns it to you and says, these are not that, so please change the answer to no. For example, I run into cases, and I always tell this example. I ran once into a case in which they were interviewing a pizza place, and they said yes to this question, and they said, we won the award for the best pizza in town. And they even added comments of like the best pizza in town. We have all these toppings and all these things. Clearly, they are very proud about it, which is great. And it's great for the conversation. But that is not what we are asking exactly. So just FYI that those things can happen. And yeah, so you will ask. In the case of the bakery, I will say no, we don't have any certifications of that type. So you will say no. You also have the options of still in process or don't know, and you enter it and can continue. Yes, the question. I think in Antigua there's a question.
Will there be an area for us to put in what type of certification?
Yeah, so yes, I will. Yes. So as you can see here, it's just a yes, no, still in process, don't know. But for every question, all of the questions in all of the sections, you always have the possibility of entering a comment. So the way to do that is in the computer. In the computer, you go to these three dots to the right, you press, and there's the add comment option. So you can always press that and you enter, again, for example, best pizza in town, which is, again, it's not, but let's say that you didn't realize and you entered it. So best pizza in town, you post it. And that is the comment. So you can always enter a comment. In the tablet, you can, you won't see the three dots. The way to enter a comment is to press the question and to keep it pressed, and the comment box will appear. Okay. Okay. So we completed section B. This is green. If we go up, this is green. Everything is answered. We continue to section C. So can we go to St. Vincent? If someone else can read, I notice there's a couple people.
Over the last 2 years, did this establishment apply to obtain an electrical connection?
Great. Yes. Something that I hadn't told you, sorry that I forgot to tell you. So whenever you move from one section to the other, you will see that there's kind of an introductory phrase. This is just for the person to know that we're changing topics, because like, okay, now we will talk about a completely different thing. So if possible, you can read those. So if you can read that.
Can you please zoom it up a little on your end, please?
Okay, so let's go to the question. The C3 over the last 2 years, the obtaining electric connection. So this is referring to the last 2 years. If they haven't applied in the last 2 years, that's a no. Okay. If they have, let's say yes. For the sake of going through the questions, I will say yes now, and you will see that more questions will appear. So this will open up a whole set of questions. Okay, can St. Vincent in the room, can you read C4?
Did you not, can you zoom it up a little from your end, please, so that we can see the wording?
Zooming in, if I can zoom in.
Oh, yes, there we go.
Okay, much better.
Much better.
Okay, C4.
For approximately how many days did it take to obtain it from the day of the application to the day the service was received?
It took a few hours. It didn't take much longer. So in that case, you have an option that says 1 day or less. So you press that. And here there is a thing in yellow, orange. I don't know exactly what color it appears on your screens. These are the soft checks flags that I was telling you about earlier. It's possible, but it's strange. So You requested electrical connection, and you obtained it in less than a day. That's not that common. It can happen, but it's not that common. So it asks you to please confirm if the wait time was less than 5 days. Whenever this happens, you say, sorry, the system is asking me to verify. You got it in a day or less. If the person says, oh, no, sorry, no, it took like a week. So then you take this out and you write 7 days and the flag goes away. Let's go back to where we were. If you ask the person and the person says, yeah, I was surprised too, but yes, I got it in less than a day, in the same day. It was really nice. In that case, press on the 3 buttons and you add a comment saying verified. Okay? Meaning I asked about this and they said that it's correct. Why? Because if you don't do this will go to the supervisor when you submit the interview. And the supervisor will see this and will wonder, is this a mistake by the enumerator or did this actually happen? And they might reject the interview. However, if they already see that you asked and you verified, then they don't need to ask you again. Okay? So whenever you get these yellow, orange, soft flags, soft checks, like we call them, and you ask them and they say, yes, that is the correct answer, you enter a comment saying verified. Okay? Great. C5. In St. Vincent, I think there's someone that hasn't read.
That's all for now.
Okay. Then let's move to Granada. Could you read C5?
In reference to that application, was information, gift, or payment?
So here we're asking about an informal gift or payment, expected or requested. As you can see, this question is in that gold color, which means that it's an opinion-based question or a sensitive question. So that means that if the mute, so I don't hear myself back. Okay, so this means that if the person asks for clarification, you cannot clarify anything. In fact, if you press on the show instruction button, it will tell you, reread question, do not offer any explanation in bold and caps and big. Okay, so if you read in reference to that application was an informal gift or payment expected or requested, the person asks you, are you asking me if I paid a bribe? What do you answer? I'm sorry. I have instructions to not clarify anything in this question. I can reread it or just answer however you interpret it, and we can move on to the next question. The person might say, I don't know. They might say, oh, no, I will not answer that. I refuse to answer that. They might say, yes, I did. They might say, no, I didn't. Whatever they answer, you enter it and you keep going. So in the case of the bakery, an informal gift or payment expected or requested, I would say, no, now that I know, then no. Keep going. C31, Granada team. Could someone else read? You need to unmute because I muted you to be able to discuss the previous question. Sorry that you have to stand.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the total cost in Eastern Caribbean dollars to obtain that electrical connection, including application, permits, inspection fees, and all external connection works, including internal wiring and connections?
Okay. So what would be a reasonable number for this in Antigua and Barbuda? I honestly don't know. I'm terrible with the money examples. I'm terrible because every country has different exchange rate. Just tell me a number that would be reasonable for this. Okay, I'm gonna say 500. I have no idea if 500 is too much, too little. I do not remember the exchange rate. So let's say 500. It asks to re-enter the amount. So when you enter an amount, it asks
Sorry,
you
we were
to
just trying to debate amongst ourselves. My apologies for the delay. For us, it depends on in that particular location where the electricity, for example, is being set up. Do you need a lamp post, or are you already in a well-established connected area to the grid? So if you need a lamppost, it would be about 10,000 EC. If you're not, it would be less. So I think we can go, we can in this case assume that they're in a well-established location and there's no extra requirement. So let's go with the 500 as you suggested.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much, Felique, also for the explanation. Because yes, and if you entered the 10,000 here, a soft check would appear. Because again, this questionnaire is asked all around the world. So sometimes something might not be strange in a particular location and you just need to verify it. Sometimes it might be. So bear also that in mind. And also for the sensitive questions, whenever someone says, "Are you really asking me this?" You can tell them this is asked everywhere in the world the exact same way. Just answer however you interpret and we can move on. So, okay, in this case, 500, you have to re-enter the amount just to make sure that you entered it correctly with no extra zeros or missing zeros. Yes, there's a question.
Can you enter the 10,000 so we can see?
Yes, of course. So let me do that. So 10,000, for example, we enter it and it says, the cost reported appears unusual. Please confirm. Means it appears to be too high. But like you explained, Valik, it might be the case that this firm is in a location that is not connected to the general grid. So for that application, they need to have a lot of different costs for the electrical connection. So in that case, this number is correct. It's not that you accidentally entered an extra zero. So in that case, you press the button and you enter verified. Okay. Great. Okay. Then here, for example, we enter the 10,000 and we keep going. Oh, sorry, I didn't correctly. 10,000. There we go. Okay. C32. Granada in the room. Can you read, please? You're muted. Jimena?
Sorry, before we continue, I just wanted to. Oh,
does this establishment consume
Jimena?
fees preferred to recent utility bill that represents a typical month of operations?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Granada. Jimena, I think you were saying something.
yes, I don't know if you can hear me, but in the previous question where Eugenia entered a comment, that helped us a lot when we are doing the validation of each interview. So when the alert pops up, if you have written a comment, we can like confirm that that question is correct because you verified it, and then we save time. Because if you didn't write a comment, we'll get back the interview to you, and it will take more time. So if you can do it when you are doing the interview or after, it will be perfect. Sorry, you can continue.
No, yes, Jimena, thank you for the clarification. I will also stress this again. So imagine you finally get the interview, they give you the hour, you're doing the interview. For you to ask to verify these things, it's 1 second and you enter verified and that's done, check, move on. Whereas if you don't do that, you finish the interview, you submit the interview. It gets to the supervisor. So a few days have gone by. The supervisor sits down, they open the interviews to review. They see that this they don't know if you entered an incorrect number or if it's something that's strange but verified. So they will get back to you. A few days have gone by. To be able to talk to that person again, to the owner of the business, might be very tricky. It might not, you might not even be able to do it, which means that we will ultimately need to change this to a don't know, very likely. So we lose information. Also, it might be that maybe the supervisor didn't realize and he said that the interview is fine. It gets to Jimena and Andrea and Kiwan and they see this, they send it back. A few more days have gone by. Even worse, they also don't realize it gets to me and I see this and I need to send it back to them. They need to send it back to the supervisor. The supervisor sends it back to you. A few months have gone by, possibly. And then to talk to that person again to ask them, can you verify this? Might be very tricky. So always do it right there and then. If you see one of the yellow flags, ask it, either correct it or verify it and continue. Okay? Okay. Let's go 32. You already read this. It's about the kilowatt hours. They can refer to a utility bill if they have one. That's the best. I don't know how many kilowatt hours. Let's say 200, just to say any number. Let's not pay attention to the numbers. Okay, please bear with me. Don't. Okay. C6. Granada, I believe there's someone that hasn't read yet. Mm-hmm. You're muted.
Over fiscal year 2024, did the establishment experience power outages?
Yes, Bakery ABC did experience power outages, so I will select yes. As you can see, this says 2024. This is 2024 because we already answered before that the last fiscal year is 2024. If we had not put that, what would appear here is an empty space. So it's very important to complete. Okay, C7. Granada, have you all read or no? I think no. Mhm. I'm so sorry you have to walk, guys.
Typical months, how many power outages did this establishment experience?
Thank you. Here's when I'm telling you that the person might go into a whole story of what happened during the big power outage. But the question is about a typical month. So, usually, what is what happens often? Usually, the most common in most months. So in a typical month, if they have 0 outages, that would be a 0. If they have 5 every month, generally, that would be a 5, etc. So if they tell you about that huge power outage that they had in February, that was terrible, etc., you can ask them, okay, but does that happen usually every month, in a typical month, in a common month? If they say no, that would be a 0. In the case of Bakery ABC, I'm going to say that they have generally 1 outage a month. Okay, next question. Did everyone read? Mhm.
Our question C8, how long did these power outages last on average?
Great. So here you have space for hours and minutes. They usually last about 20 minutes. So in that case, you select less than 1 hour and you write the minutes. So 20 minutes. Okay, C9. Is there anyone else in the Granada room that hasn't read? No? Okay.
No, that's everything.
Okay, so we go, I think, who hasn't read here? Delia? If you can read C9. Okay, I think you're having some trouble. Yes.
You're hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. For the question states, please estimate the loss that results from power outages, either as a percentage of total annual sales or as a total annual loss, as total annual losses in Eastern Caribbean dollars.
Great. We give them two options. Let me mute. So we give them two options, either as a percentage of their sales or the amount in Eastern Caribbean dollars. You select, if I tell you, oh, the losses for electrical outages were around 4%, you select percent and you enter here the 4. If I tell you it's 10,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars, you select local currency and then you enter the 10,000. Okay, C10. Joan, could you read? Okay, or Dave, could you read?
The Joan device is
Okay.
the one we're using for audio in Grenada, not somebody else.
Oh, okay, good to know. Sorry. Dave or Imogene?
C10, right?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, Imogen is here.
Yes,
And
Imogene, if you can read, and then Dave will go to you.
Okay, let me just open up the question. Give the course of fiscal year 2024. Over the course of the fiscal year 2024, did this establishment own or share a generator?
Thank you. So I take it you use the word generator. That's a good word. Some countries don't use the word generator, but I take it yes. Like an
Yes, we have
electrical
generator.
generator. Perfect. Great. No, some countries use different words. That's why, yeah, perfect. So Bakery ABC does not own a generator, no. Okay, C12, Dave, sorry.
Over the last 2 years, did this establishment apply to obtain a water connection?
Great. So here it's the exact same questions that we asked about electricity. We are asking them about water. So if I say yes, all these questions will come up, which are exactly the same as with electricity. So how many days did it take from the day the application was made to the day the service was received? In reference to that application, was an informal gift or payment expected or requested? The total cost, then how much water did this establishment consume? And here you have the units for the water. Did this establishment experience insufficient water supply at the present time? No, this is okay. So all these questions will pop up if I answer yes. For the sake of going faster so that we can cover everything in the time that we have, I will say no. But of course, if you have any questions on those questions, let me know or let Kiwan know. And Adria and Jimena, they can help answer all those questions, but they should be the same as the ones from electricity. Okay, C34. Who hasn't read? I think everyone's read, right? Or yes? Okay, then let's start again. Jason, if you could read.
C34. In a typical month, how much water does this establishment consume from public or private utilities? Please refer to a recent utility bill that represents a typical month of operations.
Right, so how much water does the establishment consume? They can answer in gallons, cubic feet, cubic meters, liters. I have no idea. Let's say 50 liters, for example. And it says that it's strange. Is reported as less than the equivalent of 25. Okay, let's just, for the sake of cubic feet, cubic meters. Okay, that's not strange. I honestly do not remember what is a a normal, regular number in this case. So, okay, 30 cubic meters. We keep going. C15 2. Whose turn is it? I think Valik. We go back to the room in Antigua.
Okay, and we're on C15-2 over fiscal year 2024. Did this establishment experience insufficient water supply?
No, we did not.
C22B, at the present time, does this establishment have its own website or social media page?
Yes, we do.
C36, over the last 2 years, did this establishment apply to obtain an internet connection, excluding mobile connections?
Again, if I press yes, these questions will come up, which are the same as with the water and electricity. So how many days did it take to obtain the connection? What was the total cost of the connection? Did they experience any disruptions in the service? So all those questions will come up. I will say no. Yes, okay. So the disruptions. C39.
C39, over fiscal year 2024, did this establishment experience any disruptions to its internet connection, including complete downtime and connection slowdowns? Please exclude disruptions that are directly due to power outages.
Yes, we experienced disruptions. I think that's everyone in Antigua. Avita?
Downtime. Did this establishment
Sorry, Avita, I don't think we heard you. Okay, so it was C48, which is in a typical month. How many hours of internet disruptions, including complete downtime and connection slowdowns, did this establishment experience that impacted business operations? How many hours? So hours, it was, I would say, about 10 hours, for example. Greater than 6 hours. Sorry, can you please confirm that the average internet disruption was greater than 6 hours? Yes, it was 10. So you press add comment and verified. Okay. C41.
Please,
yes. Yes.
Please, okay. Please estimate the losses that resulted from the internet interruptions, either as a percentage of total annual sales or as a total annual losses in Eastern Caribbean dollars.
I'd say it was about 5%. So you select percent, you enter 5. And next question. Is that everyone in Antigua?
Yes.
Okay, so we go to St. Vincent.
The response options on the card. Please indicate how difficult would it be for this establishment to switch between internet providers.
I would say with little difficulty. So here, remember, so you have the card 3. So you either show the card or the person will have the cards, and you tell them, please go to card 3. So the person will see this, and then they will, in my case, I will say with little difficulty. D30A.
Using the response option on the card, to what degree is electricity an obstacle to the current operations of the establishment?
Now I'm the owner of the bakery. What do you mean by electricity? Do you mean the cost of electricity or getting electricity? What do you mean? What would you say? So this is a trick question. Remember, this is a golden question. Yes, Antigua?
Would you click on the show instructions or would you repeat the question?
Let's click on the show instructions. What does it say?
Opinion-based or sensitive? Reread question. Do not offer any explanation.
So in that case, what we recommend is you say, I'm sorry, I have instructions here to not clarify anything. Just answer however you interpret it, and we can move on. So I'm going to say, okay, electricity for my bakery, I think it's a minor obstacle. So you select minor obstacle and continue. In this case, we finished the section. Whenever you finish a section, check that it's green here in the menu, check that everything looks good, green. Here, if there's something missing, so for example, if I had not answered this question would be missing, you would have these big red sign at the end that says there are unanswered questions in the section. So if you don't have that, you know that you answered everything and you move on to the next section. So section D is probably the most important section in the whole questionnaire. So it's 12:30. We will stop for lunch, the lunch break. We should continue again in an hour, so 1:30 p.m. if that works for everyone. And we will get started with section D, which is a very, very important section. Okay? Great. Thank you very much. See you everyone at 1:30. Sorry? St. Vincent, was there a question?
No.
Okay.
No, please, no.
Okay, great. See you everyone in an hour.